Our next conversation is going to be all about smiles. James Mulamba is a youth leader and he calls himself a revolutionary as well. And he said, but they, you know, this thing of having people, mtu anaingia bunge akiwa 20, anatoka bunge akiwa 82. No, we've got to put an end to it. Put an end to that. And he says, let's go and amend the constitution so we can fix it. James Mulamba is here. He's our guest. Good morning, James.
Good morning, Eric.
Karibu sana. This is where we fix the nation one conversation at a time. Of course, you've given us the apology for being late, but tell the fixers. Tell them you're sorry for being late.
Oh, Eric.
Well, to the entire nation, I have to apologize for being late. Well, there were situations not in my control, but I have tried my best.
Karibu.
Yeah.
I'm sure. We have to do this because if we are fixing the nation, we've got to fix discipline.
Of course.
Yes,
of course.
Of being here on time. Now, you say that we need to fix how we elect people and how long they stay in one elective office.
Yeah.
And you wanted us to give you the mic.
Yeah.
James Mulamba, Shika Mic.
So I would start with a case in point. When President Moi imposed the ban on political parties and insisted on ruling us for 24 years, we saw no meaningful change. So ruling for many years does not equate, or is not commensurate to performance. So we need to curb this habit of having politicians, especially the legislators, who overstay in parliament and they overstay their usefulness. Some of the MPs we have today and some senators have outlived their usefulness. They should vacate these spaces for younger people. So in my presentation today, I would be tackling this issue because I think it's a pandemic that we've overlooked for a very long time. I propose that we introduce a constitutional amendment that will set a limit for the terms of the MPs and the senators, as well as the women representatives, to strictly 2 terms. That is working for the presidency and it is working for the governor's position. It should as well work for the legislators. This will prevent the monopoly that has been in this political landscape of Kenya and encourage the renewal of leadership that brings fresher perspectives and fresher ideas. It will break the cycle of patronage of politics that we've had in Kenya for a long time, that has been enabled by the current political parties that have been businesses of certain families and certain individuals who have vested interest in governance. It will create an ample space for the youth and the women and those that have been marginalized for a long time to rise up and take up these positions when the incumbents leave office, because after 2 terms they will not be qualified to vie again for any other legislative position. It will reduce the entrenchment of corruption and the misuse of public office over time, because most of these MPs and senators know that they will secure another term because they have understood how the Kenyan electorate is, because most of our electorate are credulous and they are bought off with cheap cents. So that MP, that senator, that women rep knows that she will get back to that office and she's going to defend the malfeasance of she's enabled in the 5 or the 10 years. Say, for example, the women reps have been mismanaging the NGAF fund, the MPs have been mismanaging the CDF, and they know they are not going to be indicted for this because they are going to secure a re-election over time. We can implement this by amending the Constitution, particularly Article 97, Article 98, and Article 103, that in conjunction with the Elections Act, to ensure that we standardize the term limits for all elective positions in Kenya. These regulations can be enforced by the IBC, and I think they will take precedences from the next election, not this one. But then something must be done before we get to the next election. We cannot have the same perennial problem all through and all through. There are several supporting cases to this, that one Kenya, as an example, has term limits for the presidency and for the governor's position. So it was only a matter of time before we caught up with the legislators. This was also applied in the United States in that it has term limits for the governor's position and for the presidency. This has also been replicated in South Korea. By the way, South Korea impeached their president the other day And we wish that was Kenya, because we've been unable to take out our president constitutionally. We have a parliament that has been captured by the presidency. South Korea and Mexico also limit legislative terms to promote turnover and fresh leadership in their countries.
James.
Drops the mic.
Okay. There you go, James. There you go. He's a revolutionary.
Well done. No, I'm really happy. I hear you. I was flowing with you, and I was trying to see, okay, where do they attack this from, right?
Okay.
Number one, we already hold elections every 5 years. So why not just use that as the obvious route to Fagia? Because we will be at the ballot in 2027 and then in 2032 and so on and so forth. So someone will say, why do you need to scrap the term limits? When people are tired of someone, they'll just vote them out.
This was the situation in the 90s and the 80s when we were struggling to remove Moi from office. I will use him as an example quite often in this discussion. And we were unable to vote him out of the ballot. And whatever Moi was doing in the 90s and in the 80s to retain power is the same thing the legislators are doing. They ensure they get to the voters, they ensure they manipulate the voters and manipulate the votes. We have MPs in this country who get to power by bribing voters and by stealing elections. It is what it is. We have an election cycle that is always marred with election irregularities every 5 years. It has never been a clean slate for us. So we are never going to vote these guys out. If Ruto had a term that was renewable into the future, say a term that goes into perpetuity, we would never vote him out, because he knows how to manipulate the system and he knows how to get himself into power. Some of these guys are Kanu orphans and they've been inducted into how politics is run in the old way. We may have a chance. Yes, there is a possibility that we may have a chance to vote them out because some have been voted out, but we still have a percentage that has been retained overall. And it's shocking that it is somewhere between 60 to 100 MPs, they are retained every 5 years. Some have served their 7th term. For example, the Elders MP, Adan Keinan, is serving his 7th term. And we have other MPs here who've served 6 terms, 4 terms, 5 terms. Let me go through the list briefly. We have in the 10th Parliament, 58 out of 222 MPs retained their seats. I have omitted the nominated ones, but I will feature them in. Bondo MP, Dr. Oburu Odinga, was the longest serving MP. He had served for 5 terms consecutively. Is he still the MP? I think he's still the MP.
He's a senator.
He's a senator now. In the 11th Parliament, the same pattern continues, with Aden Kenan becoming the longest serving MP. In the 12th Parliament, the pattern continues, the pattern of incumbency, with 97 out of 349 MPs serving for more than 2 terms. That is close to 30% of the current, of the parliament of
the 12th Parliament.
Yes, 2017 to 2022. In the 13th Parliament, Adan Keinan is serving his 7th term. Benjamin Langat is serving his, I don't know if it's 4th term. He started his tenure from 2008 to today. Mishi Mboko served 2 terms. Omar Mwinyi served from 2013 to today. Millie Odhiambo served from 2007 to today. Samuel Moroto of Kapenguria has served from 2001 to today. He has served since Moi's time. He has seen Moi's presidency, Kibaki's presidency, Uhuru's presidency, and now Ruto's, and possibly the ex-president, the next president, because it won't be Ruto. Oscar Sudi has served from 2013 to today, same as Junet Mohammed, and the list goes.
Do you think reducing MPs' term limits would demotivate them or motivate them? If they now know, because some people might be like, I only have 2 terms, let me just... Others feel like maybe they come into their own in the 4th term or the 4th time that they're serving. What do you think this could do to help shape their motivation and their need to do what they need to do within the time they have?
An inutile and an incompetent legislator will not help this country in any way, even if they serve 30 years. We have first-term MPs who've done exemplary for themselves, the likes of Peter Salasya, and the list goes on. We have MPs who've served their 2 terms, and we can see their workmanship. We can see what Ndindi Nyoro has done. We can see what Babu Wino has done. But I cannot say the same for Aden Kenan. I cannot say the same for Samuel. His name is Moroto, who's
their
up from
constituents would have some different things to say.
Let me use an example.
The people of Eldas,
Badgal,
for example,
maybe.
would say that the reason why we bring him back is because we feel that he's doing the job we send him there to do. He represents us very well. And that's why we keep electing him.
Same to the people, to the constituents of Badgal Mili, Suba North, yes. They consistently do rank her very highly. She'll tell you, I'm serving my 4th term because I've been doing a great job for 4 terms.
The percentage of MPs who are doing a good job, who have served consecutive terms, is below 10%. I cannot disagree that there are MPs who've done quite exemplary for themselves, the likes of Millie Othiambo, probably Aden Kenan, but most of these MPs who are re-elected over time have not done us any good. Look at Oscar.
So why do people vote them back?
They are voted back because of the CDF. If you scrap the CDF, most of these MPs will never be re-elected.
So they're doing a good job with the CDF?
With the CDF, possibly.
That means that they're doing a good job according to their constituents.
But the CDF is not the only parameter to measure how good an MP performs. Their work is to represent, legislate, and oversight.
Okay.
The CDF is just an additive.
James, I think then let's look at what's the principle here. The principle of introducing term limits in the executive offices was so that this person then does not go and misuse the executive power to stay in office against the benefit of the people. The principle in the legislative seats is that the people are choosing someone to go and represent them. And you do not want to deny the people an opportunity to be represented by the best person that there is in that community. There's an election, it's open, there's qualification and disqualification for members of parliament. Article 99 of the Constitution talks about qualifications and disqualifications. You qualify to be an MP if you are a registered voter, if you satisfy the educational, moral, ethical requirements prescribed by the Constitution, moral and ethical, just underline. If you are nominated, if you belong to a political party, you have won the nomination ticket, if you're an independent candidate, you are supported by the case of election to the National Assembly by at least 1,000 registered voters in a constituency that have basically said, yes, go in as an independent. In the case of the senator, at least 2,000 registered voters in the county, right? You are disqualified from being an MP if you have served as a state officer or other public officer other than a member of parliament previously.
Yeah.
If in the last 5 years, at any time you served in the IEBC, you cannot vie in this election. If you have not been a citizen of Kenya for at least 10 years immediately before this election, if you are a member of a county assembly, you can't be an MCA and an MP. Okay. If you're of an unsound mind, okay, basically just go and say, I'm not a madman.
Yeah.
Me see wazimu.
The same thing the president is saying.
If you are undischarged bankrupt, if you're subject of a sentence or imprisonment of 6 months and so on and so forth. So you're saying that we introduce one other line here and say if you've served as a member of parliament or in that seat for 2 terms.
You are disqualified.
You're disqualified.
Yeah.
Now, the principle I was saying is to allow the people the opportunity to elect their chosen representative. By doing this, would you be denying the people their right to elect a leader of their choice?
The current leaders that we have are not leaders of the choice of the people. They are leaders that are pushed onto the people by the political establishment that we have. We have political parties that would never grant nomination tickets to young people and to the marginalized and to young women in this country. Because we don't have the money to buy those nomination tickets. A nomination ticket goes for somewhere between 200 to 500,000 shillings. And beyond and above that, the families that own these political parties, because they are owned by families, still need you to chunk out something underhand to these families so that they can consider you. And possibly if you don't have the money, you have to befriend the owner of the party or his close friends. And that is how it has been hard for younger people and for the women in this country to gain these elective positions. Most of the young people and women in this country get into nominated positions, not elective positions. Why? Why did we introduce the women rep position? Because the women in this country and the young ladies in this country could not get themselves to the MP seat So we introduced an affirmative action to facilitate and to fast track and expedite the election of women into these positions. If it was smooth sailing, we would not have the women rep position. If it was smooth sailing, we would have more independent candidates elected in this country. But Kenyans have a fixated mindset that you have to be in a certain political party. If you are in Western Province, it has to be ODM. I know we don't use provinces nowadays, but I still refer to them as provinces.
We all know them as that.
If you are in,
refer to them.
if you are in Nyanza, it's ODM. If currently you are in Central, it has to be UDA. It was formerly Jubilee. If you are in the Eastern region, it has to be the Wiper Party. And these parties have given us wrong candidates overally all through the years. Say, for example, in my own constituency, Kitui West, where I come from, we've had one family serving the MP in the MP position for, I say, 1997 to today, how many years? 27 years? So are you telling us that is the only competent family, that is the only eligible family? So it started with the husband.
Do people elect the family?
They do, because
they elect the individual.
They elect the party and not the individual.
Okay.
And the party gives the ticket to a member of this family.
Of course. So this is what happened. The first MP was for that region to initiate this incumbency was Francis Nyenze, the late. May his soul rest in peace. He succumbed to cancer in 2017, but he served as an MP from 1997 to 2017. When he passed on, due to the current sympathy and whatever goes on with politics, people decided to vote in his wife, the current MP, who is Madam Edith Nyenze. So she served 2 terms now, and she's very interested in serving a 3rd term. And she's not even young. I think she's in her 70s or late 60s. She's interested in a 3rd term, in a 4th term, in a 5th term, and she does not care that there are younger people and there are more brilliant people out here who have better perspectives and who want to serve in that position. She's not mentored anyone, and she's not interested in relinquishing that seat to anyone else. So she is willing to buy that party ticket perennially from one year to another, from one election cycle to another. Can we have that going forward?
Let me read some feedback on YouTube. You'll see if you can react. Plano says term limits isn't an issue. It should be about performance based on KPI metrics, quality over quantity. Since some MPs are performing well, so just hold that. Somebody else here says, what are the parameters for disqualifying the president and governors for running for 2 terms? From this point of view, we apply to other elective seats. And then finally, somebody else has talked about Sophia Mugure. Do you think to some extent the citizens are the problem? So just some reflections from our community of fixers.
Because essentially, if these people are not working, to Eric's question, why are we voting them
The people
back
should
in?
not vote for them.
Yeah.
If the people in your constituency, James, are voting for members of the same family, they're happy.
They are not.
So then
So then why are they voting for them?
Because of that ticket, I've told you, we've zoned out Kenya, we've balkanized Kenya into political parties.
Yeah.
We've never had a national political party. The ODM pretends to be a national political party. It is not. Same as the UDA party. The UDA party sold in the Central region and in the Rift Valley region. Yes, it has some outlier effect in some other regions, but it's mainly a party for those 2 regions. The Wiper party has been constrained in the Eastern region for a very long time. It has a few outlier effects in Kisii and say some few MPs pale Western, but most of its MPs and governors wako hapa Eastern. Wewe kama hujapewa party ticket ya Wiper, forget about that seat. I'm going for an elective seat in Kitui County. And I know if I don't have the Wiper party ticket, I have almost 0 chances. I have to rely on my wit and my ability to charm the voters.
Governor
and possibly
Mulamba
vie
is
as
a
an
Wiper?
independent candidate. Yes, he is.
Okay.
There have been MPs who come from Mukambani who have been voted as independents. There was one in Makueni County, was an independent. We have seen Maendeleo Chap has produced MPs. We have seen. So the people elect the person. They don't elect a party. And even for the party, if the party knows that you are not popular, James, you will not get the ticket. What happens? Party primaries. And even beyond party primaries, even where it's a boardroom decision, the guys in the boardroom will look, lakini tukipatia James hii chama, tuta lose.
If I tell you the underhand deals that happen in these political parties, you'll be shocked. Before Governor Malombe got his ticket in 2013, that ticket was supposed to go to the former Senator David Musila, who was more popular back then. David Musila has always emerged as the second contestant. What is it called? He's always emerged number 2. That tells you he's popular enough. And he gets to number 2 because he does not have the Wiper ticket. In fact, he just retired the other day after he realized Kalonzo is not going to give me the Wiper ticket. And they are the co-founders of Wiper. The same scenario is with Senator Mulamba. Senator Mulamba probably was interested in becoming the governor for Machakos. And imagine he's a co-founder, but he was not handed the Wiper ticket. The only candidate who's gotten a Wiper ticket, clean slate, is Senator Enoch Kiyo in 2013 and in 2017. And it is because in both instances, he did not have a contender. He went to he was the only guy. He was the only guy interested in becoming senator using the Wiper ticket. There were no nominations in 2013 and 2017.
And people vote for the Wiper ticket. Senor.
People vote for the party, not the candidate.
So answering this question, do you think to some extent the citizenry is the problem?
Yes,
Is asking
the citizenry is the problem. That is why we need to do more civic engagement and more civic education. We need to tell people, and we need to tell them boldly, that the political party does not matter. It does not matter if I vie on an ODM ticket or not. It doesn't matter if I vie on a UDA ticket or on a Wiper ticket. If I am a good candidate, if I am outspoken, if I'm articulate, and if I have ideologies, I deserve a chance. I deserve a shot at it. It doesn't matter if I'm young or old. Because some of these parties still consider these metrics. Look at the ODM party, the UDA party, and the Wiper party. I'm not apportioning any blame to any of them, but just look at their composition. How many of the MPs are young? How many of the MPs are women? How many of the MPs come from the marginalized areas and communities, even including the leadership of the party itself? How many?
James, quick question. If we don't get this civic education thing right, let's say we do go and amend the constitution, term limits 2 and you're out, and we still vote along party lines, it'll just be the party person for 2 terms, then the party person for the next 2 terms, then the party person for the next 2 terms. We haven't essentially fixed the problem.
That's why we need to get civic education right. But we must start from somewhere. We must start with the term limit.
Which one comes before? Which chicken egg, James? Chicken egg. Because if we amend the constitution before the education happens, then yeah, it'll just be that. We elect the same people from the same parties, and then that person serves 2 terms, then another person comes from the same party, another 2 terms.
Same family.
Yeah, same family.
The chicken egg conundrum has existed for millennia, and there has never been a solution to it. But I think we should start with the civic education, so that now that people understand where the problem is and they understand what should be done to solve the problem, then now we can go into the next election and the election after that with a fresher perspective, with a sharper mind, and with a clarity that starts with the electorate knowing what they should want, because the electorate has to be told what they should want, what they should expect. And they should stop taking the bare minimums that we have right now. The electorate deserves better. And I think they have forgotten this because they have been inundated with bad candidates over and over and over again. So they think it's normal. They have normalized it. They should get beyond that, above and beyond that. If we had normalized the gender imbalance and the gender parity that we have, we would never have gotten to the point that we have here. We wouldn't have the 2/3 gender rule. We wouldn't have women representatives in parliament. And by the way, it pains me when I hear some, I don't know, disillusioned Kenyans say that we should scrap the women rep position because some of the women reps are not performing. That is not the problem. The problem is not the women rep position itself. The problem is the person holding the women rep position. We need to get beyond that. We can't scrap the women rep position because the ones holding the women rep position are not performing. It is like saying we should scrap the presidency position because the president is not working. Why will we be taking this country?
You know?
Hey, James, you have put your point across quite well. You can read him the comment from Sakina.
Sakina, right. I like what Sakina Latif says. The young lad has good points, but remember that even after civic education is started, tribalism is still used to conquer and divide people. Maybe his point is also civic education should go deeper into how to not vote along tribal lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we thank you very much for joining us today, for coming and putting the case across. Yeah. James Mulamba, asante sana. You say you're a revolutionary.
Yeah.
And you want to be elected for 2 terms only.
Yeah, 2 terms
in your constituency.
Yeah. No, you misconstrued this. I don't want to be elected as MP. They will conflate this for a campaign agenda. So I am fighting the current MP because I want to be an MP in that region. I do not want to be an MP in that region. I'm just stating facts as they are. We need to give more people more opportunities.
You're a fixer, and we celebrate you for that. Our next conversation is about promoting ethical values and integrity, and we're joined by Professor Timothy Kiruhi. Let's discuss and debate ethics. It's coming here very strongly. Coming up next. Good morning.